Welcome to Two Shot. On tonight's program, Sarah Macdonald talks to singer RENEE GEYER.
So RENEE, you have been performing and recording for more than a quarter of a century. Could you have ever imagined doing anything else?
No. Probably living in a mental home, maybe.
I mean, what happened in the beginning? Can you remember how music first sort of sucked you in and addicted you and you realised it would be your life work?
I wish I had something really great and deep and serious and important to, in the shape of a story, to tell how music got me involved. But it was as simple as being in the lounge room with a hairbrush, singing and miming to somebody on bandstand.
But everybody did that. I mean,
well,
I did that.
This is what I mean. I mean, it was just this ordinary thing, except I used to sort of go, well, I'm better than them.
Yeah.
And then a guy would come on and he'd sing, I'd go, I'm better than him too. I'm better than her and I'm better than him. I should do this. But then I never thought I would do it because I sort of came from a family where academics were important and, even though they knew I wasn't gifted in that area, they thought they'd push me as far as I could go. So I never thought I'd get into the business, but I toyed with it in the lounge room. But there was no serious sort of studying, and I tried really hard to get them to let me play piano, and they thought it would lead to no good.
Why did your parents think it would lead to no good? What did they want you to do?
I think they just didn't think it would end up anywhere, and so it was a waste of money. They were migrants, and it was the 50s and the 60s, and I think they sent me and my brothers to private Methodist schools. We were Jewish kids, but they wanted us to get a really great education, so they sent us to these private Methodist colleges, and they spent a lot of money on our education. I think probably financially they thought, piano lessons and buying a piano would be, what's it going to amount to? No good. Little did they know. I still amounted to no good.
But what did they say when they first realised you had this incredible voice? I mean, here you were, this white Jewish girl in Sydney with this strong, black, powerful voice.
There wasn't a moment when that sort of, I think they sort of learnt about it by association and through other people going, wow, and reading about it and seeing it on TV. I think they're as baffled as I am about it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You don't know where it came from?
We're worried. We don't know.
How did you get it?
We don't know.
So what traits do you think you did get from your parents?
Oh, God. Impatience, worry, guilt. Very pragmatic because of my parents. All the Jewish things that you get. I'm sure you're a nice Catholic girl, aren't you?
I'm not Catholic. I'm nothing. He doesn't even know I'm here. I'm not even christened.
Really?
Yeah.
Me neither.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, has your religion played a part in your life?
In retrospect, yes, maybe. But I don't think I thought about it, and I don't think about it as I go through life. But when you look back on things, when you look back on it as another person or looking at the story of what you've done, you can see similarities with your parents and your race and your culture. Because to me, being Jewish is more than a religion. It's really a race of people.
Yeah. But when you were young and you were singing such black music, you loved black music, did you ever sort of naively wish that you were black?
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
Absolutely. I went all the way through that. As silly as that was, as it would be for a black girl in America to wish she was a white girl, but just the love of the music and the look in the 60s and the 70s of black record covers and the Supremes and all of that sort of stuff.
So back to the singing, how did you get from in front of the telly with the hairbrush onto the stage?
I had a really good friend, Judy, who had friends of hers who had a band from school, and they were looking for a singer. I was about 16 or 17, and she knew I could sing because we used to sing, both of us used to sing together in the lounge room. So I said, well, get me an audition. I'd love to give it a try, and so I did. I went to an eastern suburbs house, a rich Jewish boy had a band, and lots of great shiny new equipment, but they weren't very good players. But and I remember singing "To Love Somebody," the Bee Gees song, and that was it. They were sort of really cool and sort of cold as I walked in, and after all that, we were all very good friends. So I sort of knew that I had something going.
And was that it for you as
well?
well?
That was it for me.
Yeah.
I then went up the ladder of sort of Bandsville. I kept dropping bands when I found a better one. I was ruthless.
You were ruthless.
Absolutely ruthless.
And incredibly determined as well.
Oh, yeah. To this day. I mean, survival of the fittest. I mean, your music, you either play good music or you don't. And you can really love somebody and be friends with them, but if they're not doing their job or they're not talented or cutting the mustard, then hasta la vista, baby.
So have you lost friends along the way?
I'm sure. I don't have any friends. I'm very lonely.
You do.
Yeah, I'm sure I've made enemies. I don't hear about it to my face, but I hear about it. I hear about the cold shoulder and how how warm and great when it's all happening, and then how cold and the cut-off is so complete and cold and finished when it's all over. And, what can you do? It's cold, it's ruthless, but it's the truth. At least I'm telling it like it is.
Yeah, I mean, you always have told it like it is the whole way through your career.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Do you think in some
ways
ways
it's time for me to start not telling so much like it is?
Oh, really? You think
Maybe.
perhaps you should have been less honest?
Yeah, it's got me into trouble.
Is that the difficult woman tag? I mean, you named an album after it. You took the piss
Paul
out
wrote
of it
me
a
a
bit.
song, didn't he? It's Paul's fault, Paul Kelly's fault. Nothing to do with me. He wrote the song, and how can you have a song called Difficult Woman on a record and not call that the album?
But how do you feel about the tag?
I don't care, because people who really know me and have known me for a long time, above and beyond being in bands with me, know where I'm at and what I'm about. And I know it's a cliche and boring old, that women get called difficult and men just get called interesting or, artistic or whatever it is. But,
Yeah.
you do get that a little bit.
It's a double standard, isn't it? I mean, they can trash hotel rooms, have lots of groupies, refuse to do things, and they just get called artistic.
And then Courtney does it, and look what happens.
Well, Courtney gets called difficult too. Courtney Love, yeah.
She is difficult. I'm a baby lamb next to her. Actually, Courtney, I'm your lost mother. I'm the mother you were looking for. And I say, you're a naughty girl. Stop it. No wonder I gave you up at birth.
She'd probably see you as like, a role model.
I don't think so.
You think she's too difficult?
Too
she's
cocky.
Gone too far.
No, she's too cocky. But yeah, I think the woman being difficult tag is just old and tired, and it's just, you're just getting on with it, you know, and taking no nonsense. Basically, that's what it's about. And the minute you do take nonsense, and you're difficult. So I can't help that.
I remember watching you on Countdown when I was little, and I mean, to me it was the entire highlight of my weekend. But you always had a real sort of a healthy disdain for the entire process, I thought, because Countdown was so powerful, wasn't it?
It was powerful.
You didn't really play along with that.
Well, not because I thought it was so powerful. I just hated doing the whole idea of going into that room and standing on a stage with these kids all going, "Where's Daryl? Where's Shirley?" And you just like, and their hands would be on the platform where you'd be walking, and you'd be just going, tempted to go, "I'll give you Daryl." I watched it every week, regardless of whether I was on it or not, because you just couldn't wait to rip it to shreds, or every now and then something great would come on, like Iggy Pop doing "I'm Bored." That was one of the best pieces of television I think I've ever seen. But most of the time it was pretty naff, and going in there, TV is not a great medium for those who are impatient, and those who are spontaneous, because it's all about miming or singing to a backing track, which is totally unnatural, full on, makeup, hair, and you usually end up looking like, James Brown with the... it's just, and they used to have the orange makeup that everyone used to get. Even Marsha Hines must have got the orange makeup.
So in terms of doing stuff like, Countdown and those things, I mean, you always do look like you're sort of separated from it a bit. But do you wish sometimes that you could just embrace it and bat the eyelids and just say, oh, you're so wonderful and you're so fantastic? I mean...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I envy people that can be eternally positive and come on and switch on to this thing that they become when the cameras roll. I envy that. I hate it, but I envy it, and I wish I had that knack. But I wish that I had that knack but still could be myself when I'm not doing that thing. I envy it because I would have gotten a lot further in my career if I had been that way. I'm sure of it. Because this disdain that you say that you saw, I'm sure a lot of other people saw it too, and it's probably not something that a really big entrepreneur or promoter or record company would go, oh, there's a girl we can make money out of.
But I saw it as a healthy disdain. I mean,
but that's
I
you.
must say.
I can't see a corporate situation thinking that was a healthy... Maybe now it's kind of groovy to have the disdain. I really meant that disdain, though, in those days.
But, I mean, how do you measure success then, given that?
Not by that. Not by that. I consider myself successful because I'm still recording, still making records, whether they're good or terrible, it doesn't matter. I'm in the business. I'm still making records. I think they're still pretty good. I'm still interested in writing songs, still interested in meeting new musicians and working, and I'm always thinking of something new to do. And if I'm still doing it now 28 years later, then I'm okay. I think that would be success.
Yeah.
Now, if we talk monetary success or big chart success or, superstardom, then no. But I don't know if that is a measure of success and that alone. I mean, that is fleeting too, But I wouldn't like to say I don't want that. I would love to have that. I would love to be, I don't know if I want to be a superstar. I don't know what that means. I'd like to have like a big, #1 hit all around the world.
But you've always wanted on your terms, really, haven't you?
Well, you know what my favourite thing would be? If I wrote a song, because I'm starting to write a little bit, if I co-wrote a song and someone like Aretha Franklin recorded it and it became a huge hit and brought her back to the fore with a song that I had a hand in writing, that all the accolades, the fame part goes to her, but the money and the sort of pride thing, I get all that, and I can sit in a coffee shop and hear it and go, oh, I did that song.
I wrote that song.
That, to me, would be the ultimate of superstardom, but without, the sort of paparazzi sort of version.
Without having to put yourself on the line.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is that during that time, I mean, I call it a healthy disdain, but it also looked like you were calling the shots yourself. So to me, you were probably... If I'd started thinking about feminism, you're one of the women I would have seen as a feminist. But you don't use that word, do you?
No.
What's wrong with the F word?
It's not a good word because of everything that goes with it, and because it became an organisation, I think, a club, and I think the minute it became like a group that you joined. Any group is, unless it's a band, is sort of unhealthy because it's sort of like us against them sort of thing, and I just never felt that way. I think a true strong woman is someone who just does what a strong man does. You just get on with it. If you're good at something, you follow that path and you try to get as far as you can doing that thing that you're good at. That's the measure of a strong person, and maybe there wasn't a lot of women. I mean, you have to probably acknowledge that there wasn't a lot of women doing that in the 70s, maybe. But it's not where it came from. It wasn't me going, I'm a woman, let's see what I can do for my sisters,
What about It's a Man's World, singing that song?
Well, Helen Reddy drove me to that.
Why?
I Am Woman.
I loved that song.
I know, you told me that, Sarah. I'll let you have that one. But I just think
So
it was
what,
probably the worst song I ever heard in my life. And
it's fair enough.
And then when James Brown's It's a Man's World was sort of around, well, actually James Brown's song was around before then, but I think I must have heard it again around that time and thought, yeah, that's the way to go.